Today we're going to be doing a Opbr tier list, but it's not going to be a tier list of every unit in the game like usual, but I'm going to be doing a meta tier list. Now what I mean by meta, I'm going to define this further later on, but essentially I'm talking about units who are at least playable. I'm not going to be ranking any 3-star units, or maybe some will make it in, but mostly no 3-star units, no 2 stars at all. And yeah, so we're just going to be ranking who's like the meta all the way from the top, the units who are even somewhat barely playable. Anyone else will not be making the tier list. And yeah, so before we even start, I'm gonna define my criteria for this tier list. There's never ever gonna be a tier list where everyone agrees, but I'm gonna try and define what I am creating my tier list around, so that there's a little less arguments, and you can see it from where I'm placing them and understand how I'm going to be placing these units. So here's my criteria. Let's start with Z tier. So Z tier are the units that the meta revolves around. Everyone else plays around the units in Z tier. So I'm talking about the top of the top, the best of the best. You play to counter these units. You play to try and beat these units. Then we have S tier. So S tier is the top of the meta. These units are some of the best, and while not as game making or game changing as Z tier, S tier units are more than capable of dominating, and some may even have arguments for Z tier. Tier 1 units are flawed units, which, while they are good, they have downfalls that make them inconsistent in the meta. These units are all around solid units, and for the most part you can use them confidently in League and not be too worried. However, like I said, they have flaws that make them not worthy of being S tier. Tier 2. So tier 2 units are niche units that are playable, but like you're gonna find a lot of trouble fighting well or getting good or even any results in your games. Some of these units rely on the meta and may rise in rank depending on the state of it. Now for that last part, that kind of goes for a lot of units, especially tier 1 units. Tier 1 units are units that can kind of fluctuate in between S tier and maybe even drop to tier 2 if necessary. A lot of tier 1 units do depend on like the color of the meta, as you guys will see going forward. But yeah, that's my criteria. Go over that again if you need to, but yeah, that's how I'm going to be ranking these characters. And let's get into this. Let me know what you guys think about the tier list, and or after you watch it, of course, if I haven't even made it yet. But yeah, let's get into this tier list. Alright, so starting with tier 2, at the top of tier 2, I'm going to put Dressrosa Zoro. Now Dressrosa Zoro, he's a little complicated for me because he's fallen off. Everybody knows he's fallen off, but he can still do good damage. He can still do decent damage. However, he's really he's even really not consistent at all. He can't really do much in the meta. Even against Shanks kind of just obliterates him, even though he's red. But yeah, with Dressrosa Zoro, I don't really think there's much to explain about him. It's just a matter of time, of time passing. Time passed by. His time is gone. Maybe we'll finally get a new Zoro soon, and yeah, that'll be good for him. Alright, so second is gonna be Pell. So Pell is, I almost said trash, but Pell is so sad. Pell's life was so sad. That's all I have to say, man. Like, he relies on his skill 1, getting his stacks up, but knockback is so prevalent in the meta right now. Every unit has a knockback. Like, almost every meta unit has a knockback. So Pell, he just can't get what he needs to do. He's too fragile. Yes, he has one-shot potential, but like he's pretty much useless outside of that, and he can rarely ever survive long enough to do anything in a game. So yeah, he's gonna chill in tier 2. After these two units, who are like the best of tier 2, I'm not really gonna organize the rest of tier 2 in like which one's best, because tier 2 is barely playable anyway, so it doesn't really matter what order they're in. But next we're gonna put Dressrosa Law. Dressrosa Law still has good normals, and that's pretty much the only good thing about him. His counter is, I don't know what it is about it, but it's not scary at all. It's so easy to predict, and once you get that counter out, like, he's pretty much dead. He's dead in the water. And yeah, if you do play him like a pure runner, I guess you can get some value out of him. Stolen Heart is alright, I guess. It's not really anything special. But yeah, he's gonna stay in tier 2. And then next up, like I said, this isn't gonna be in order. Tier 2 is not gonna be in order, so we're just gonna kind of breeze through tier 2. Tier 2, Red Category. Red Category is interesting because he can one-shot. He does a lot of damage. That's what I need to say. He does a lot of damage, but he doesn't stay alive long enough to do much with the damage. So yeah, he's a tier 2 unit. I've been playing him a lot actually, and he's playable for sure. I actually think I'm gonna actually rank him as the 3rd best tier, and then from here on I won't rank anyone else. But he's actually now we won't rank anyone else. All right, so Conjuro, if y'all see me in Discord, you know I've been a little avid hater of Conjuro. I didn't really care for him. I hated him after what he did to the homies, the scabbards. I mean, after what he did to them. Yeah, I just didn't give him a chance. But he's just alright, bro. He's really nothing special. But he's just gonna chill in tier 2. Nothing really special about him. And next in tier 2 is a character you wouldn't actually expect to see here, unless you actually, expected to see him here. But Gaimon is surprisingly playable, and I'm not even joking when I say that. Gaimon's counter makes him fall down, and you won't be attacked for like a long time. So that makes him actually a good defender. Like, you can actually guard a treasure. Last second cap, you just pop your counter. If you land the counter, like, you just fall down. You just fall down, and nobody can touch you. Nobody can get that treasure. It's actually viable. Obviously, I don't recommend you playing Gaimon or anything, but hey, if you do want to, he's there. Alright, so next up we have Senior Pink. Decent, nothing crazy. He's alright. Like, he's not good enough to make tier 1, but also not bad enough to not be on the tier list at all. So he's just gonna chill in tier 2. He's decent overall, honestly. But yeah. Alright, next up we're gonna have Kiku. Kiku's an alright attacker. Last 60 seconds she can kind of go off, but like, again, how much can you go off as a blue unit in Shanks meta? Not that much. So yeah, she's really not that influential. Alright, next up we have Koala. Koala is just bland as hell. She's the definition of a tier 2 unit. She can do stuff, but really not influential enough in the game to make tier 1. But again, not bad enough to be in tier to not make the tier list at all. Alright, next we have Bonchan. Bonchan, I really liked playing him when he first came out, especially that cool trait where he stacked up capture speed. But honestly, at this point, like, his skills are not up to par. He can't really do much. He can capture flags fast. So if you want to play him as a pure runner, you could argue him for tier 1 as a pure runner only. But honestly, it's just best he stays in tier 2. He's just not influential enough, and he's blue, so that automatically reduces points from him. Oh man, blue units. Alright, so next we have Corona. Corona is just, again, just kind of there. She gets obliterated by Shanks just like any other blue unit. But her negative can be effective. Like, it can help out in a game. Block the enemies from doing much, from doing some things. But other than that, she can't really defend. But she is a usable unit, so she's gonna make tier 2. Next we have Baby 5, who is actually, honestly, they give her buff where her shit staggers now, so she's solid. But again, like, she can't really do enough. She can't really hold down a flag, really. Like, outside of her, like, a bomb form where she stack tremors, and then, but once you use that up, like, your skill 1 isn't really gonna do much for you. So yeah, she makes tier 2 as a usable unit. Next up we have Kuzan. Kuzan is not good, honestly. He's decent, not even decent, he's below decent. And part of this is because your teammates kind of just fuck you over. Like, those motherfuckers, those dudes, they see you freezing a guy and they instantly walk in and try to attack him instead of letting you get your ice age off or whatever. But it's kind of sad how your teammates can mess you up like that. But hey, even without your teammates messing you up, he's just really not that good. His normals are whatever, and yeah, tier 2. Alright, next we have Pudding. Pudding, not a bad unit. You can edit Roger, since Roger's immune to stun. You can also edit Shanks outside of his red hair state, since those units get buffed by stun or whatever. And edit kind of does the same thing as stun, but it isn't stun, so I guess you can get some value out of that. And but other than that, like, she's kind of useless, but playable. So next we have Green Rayleigh, and depending on whether you're good at Perfect Judgment or not, he can move up to tier 1, right? But considering the amount of people I've seen playing Blue Rayleigh and don't know how to use this perfect dodge well, I don't think many people are very good at perfect dodging. So yeah, he's kind of a depending on how good you are type of unit, and even then you stun when you perfect dodge, so that's gonna buff Shanks and make it worse for your team. So yeah, he's gonna chill in tier 2. Alright, next up in tier 2 is Luffy Taro. Luffy Taro is a defender, one trick. He can literally only do things to defenders, but I did get a nice clip, you know, wiping out an enemy team with Luffy Taro. But yeah, honestly, he's pretty much just effective against defenders. He can one-shot defenders like Kaido, Kid, all these defenders, Z sometimes too. But yeah, so he's a very one trick. You kind of bring him in if you want to play him on the side. You bring him in to deal with an annoying defender, and boom, finish them off real quick. Next we have Red Marco, pure runner, trash capture speed. Only good thing about him is his skill 1 where he can fly. But yeah, he's a pure runner, but honestly he's not even good at capturing flags, so that's embarrassing for him. Next up we have Wiper. Wiper can do some good damage, you know, but that's pretty much all you have to say about him. Just making tier 2. Not really insane, but for a 3-star unit, you know, he's solid. Next we have Croc. He's kind of in the same boat as Marco, except he actually can captures. So yeah, but yeah, Croc is obviously, again, time messed him up, and he's just not that good anymore. Alright, after Croc we have Ivankov. Ivankov can get rid of buffs, so that makes him nice, but other than that, not really influential at all in the meta. Then we have Ashura Doji. Ashura Doji just did anybody even realize this dude is in the game still? I think a lot of people kind of forgot about him, just his existence completely, bro. But yeah, Ashura Doji is a unit in Opbr, and that's pretty much all you can say about him. You know, he does have that cool trait where he heals when he's guarding a flag. You know, that could be cool for defenders, you know, so that defenders actually guard their treasure. But yeah, other than that, he's just kind of there. He's bland as hell. His skills are bland. He's bland. Oh, he got done dirty. But yeah, next we have Carrot, another pure runner. You can play offensively with her, but that's not gonna end up well for you. But she can be fast, and that, you know, play as a pure runner, you might get some use out of her. Next we have Chopper. Depending on what you really, I guess, value in a unit, you can, I guess, say Chopper's tier 1. But honestly, I don't actually, never mind. You can't argue that Chopper's useless outside of his defense buff that he passes on, and even then, how much value does that have? I feel like Dogstorm just does that better than him. So yeah, he's just not gonna get much points for that. Next we have Caesar in tier 2, which this is a unit you can argue to tier 1, because Caesar can actually do some stuff to Shanks with his poison. So Caesar you can argue, and he's just overall a solid step up. You know, he could, if they removed his slow on when he's in his skill 1, I think Caesar would automatically shoot up to tier 1 if they removed his slow and gave him some, made him a little bit tankier. But especially that, remove the stupid slow when he's in his skill 1. Next we have Snake Man. Snake Man's just falling off. Time messed him up. Players getting first flag with him. I don't know what kind of curse they put on him for him to like always have to get first flag. But honestly, if they gave him a buff where he gets extra cast speed when he captures the first flag or something, you know, maybe then we'd actually get some value out of players capturing first flag with him. But yeah, so he's gonna chill in tier 2. Next we have Magellan. Magellan's in the same boat as Caesar, where if they removed his slow in his Venom demon state and also gave him heals when he inflicts Venom, oh, Magellan would he'd be a menace. Well, not right now, obviously, because Shanks exists, but Magellan would definitely get up there in terms of defenders. Next we have CP0 Lucci, who I'm gonna put here, because CP0 Lucci has fallen off, of course. He can't really do much, sadly, you know, because he's one of the most unique characters in the game, with his transforming states into his hybrid, or his slim form, not his hybrid. But yeah, he's pretty unique. I like him as a character, and I hope we get more characters like him. Cough Cough King, transforming into Pteranodon form, and then back to human form, Cough Cough. But yeah, he's just falling off with time, and yeah, can get some use out of him. You can get some lucky plays. Other than that, nothing. Monet, I don't care much for Monet. She's just not. I think Roman brought up some issues with her where she gets like buffs when she's behind her shield. But then if you're behind your shield, what's the point of the buffs when you're not made to take damage? The defense or defense buff. So it's just this doesn't make sense what they did with her. But yeah, she's gonna chill in tier 2 because her shield is, you know, a shield, and it's useful. So next up we have Dogstorm, who I am actually gonna put at the top of tier 2. Dogstorm is similar to Chopper, where he can transfer buffs. He can transfer an attack buff over, which in my opinion is much more valuable than Chopper's, as well as Dogstorm actually being a solid unit by himself. So you can get away with using him as a secondary unit, and you wouldn't really be selling or anything. Not that using Chopper is selling, you know. But yeah, he's solid. He's solid. You can get away with playing him. Burgess is... I've been seeing some Burgess gameplay, and he's actually not bad. Like, he's not like... He's not gonna make you... He's not gonna change anything about a game's outcome or anything, but like... It's not bad. Like, so yeah, he's gonna make tier 2. Around the higher echelon of tier 2. So, yeah. Decent unit, decent unit. Kawamatsu is garbage. Garbage. His skills don't hit. Honestly, what were they cooking with this man, bro? Well, he was the blueprint for the 80% status effect reduction. So that's nice. Other units have that now, and they're better than him. So yeah, he's just borderline unplayable, honestly. But yeah, he's there. Kinemon, much better. Second Annie defender. Well, not really second Annie, but he was on the second Annie banner. So, but yeah, he came with Luffy. Kinemon's extremely fast. He's essentially the fastest, one of the fastest characters in the game as a defender, just because of his normals. But Kinemon's issue is his stupid counter. You can literally dodge his counter after the first hit, even if you hit it. So he just kind of stands there looking stupid as hell. And yeah, that's unfortunate for him. But yeah, sucks. But you know, you can get away with using him if you really want to. And if we get a character who inflicts a lot of a flame, maybe Big Mom with Prometheus. If we get a new one, a new Sabo, a new Kaido, hybrid Kaido, you know, he has some fire attacks. I'm coping so hard right now. This dude is never gonna be meta again. But yeah, we got Shanks, Blue Shanks, tier 2. Sad to see, but it doesn't really matter because we have his more broken counterpart. So I think Shanks fans are chilling right now. But yeah, this Shanks has fallen off. You can, once you get some stacks, you can wipe a team with this skill too, but you're really not getting that many stacks in a game with this dude, man. Next we have Moria. Moria is just like, his shadowless state is cool, but honestly, he's just whatever, bro. He's kind of just there. He's one of those units again that you kind of forget exist. But yeah, he's solid. He's not bad. He's not bad at all, actually. Next up we have Red Jinbei. Red Jinbei kind of came and went with the meta. He was never really meta. He dropped and he was nothing special. Sadly, we do deserve a good meta Jinbei, honestly. I feel bad for Jinbei fans. But yeah, I think there is one more Jinbei in the leaks. Hopefully he's gonna be a Bounty Fest. I would really hope he gets a Bounty Fest, you know, give that man some love. Next we have Stampede Smoker. Got a buff. I saw a lot of players using him for like a few, or 1 or 2 weeks, and then he kind of just dropped off the face of the earth. But he's alright. He's just alright, bro. His buff was nice for him, made him at least playable again, which is good. Hopefully we see that more for these super old units and can diversify the meta a little bit, because the meta could definitely use some diversity right now. Looking at all these Shanks players out here. But yeah, next we have Blue Boa. Borderline unplayable, honestly. She just kind of gets one shot. She can get those lucky skill ones off and, you know, one shot. She's trying to kind of chilling in between tier 2 and not even being on this tier list at all. Next we have Mace, who can be argued for tier 1, honestly, because his shield is so much more valuable now, in my opinion. With Shanks, you can at least tank, not really tank, but you can block a hit off. But honestly, other than that, his damage kind of non-existent. His normals are garbage, in my opinion. And yeah, his skill 2 takes too long to charge, just for not really much out of it. So yeah, Mace is also blue, so that instantly makes him worse. Yay, isn't that great? Isn't that fun? Alright, lastly, in tier 2 we have Kuma. Kuma got a buff, give him more heals on knockback, but didn't really influence him at all. He's playable, but you're not gonna get much out of him. He's fun to knock people back, put on worst gen. In your support, go crazy with the knockbacks. And that's it. That's going to be the end of tier 2. And let's move on to tier 1. These are the units that are inconsistent, but you can play them confidently and, you know, get away with some pretty solid to even good games sometimes. So, starting off with the bottom of tier 1. Bottom of tier 1 is Sengoku, in my opinion. Sengoku got buffed and he people were really gassing him up for the first like month. He deserved the hype, you know. He was pretty good. But yeah, he's just gradually fallen off. He couldn't really stand with the meta. He's playable for sure, and you can get some good plays with him. You can guard treasuries, except if you're going against Shanks. But Roger, he's actually surprisingly decent against. Put zone on him, you know. But yeah, so that's going to be the first tier 1 unit. Next we have Stampede Sabo. Stampede Sabo, I actually questioned putting him in tier 2. I haven't seen much of him apart from gameplay on YouTube. So I wouldn't even mind putting him in tier 2, honestly, the top of tier 2 maybe. But yeah, he's just gonna chill there. He did get a buff as well, making him much more usable. But again, I wouldn't mind putting him in tier 2. Next up we have Monster Chopper, who never really found his place in the meta, for being real. He's a defender counter, but like back then when he first came out, sure there was some defenders, but honestly, like he just wasn't crazy enough to warrant, you know, people using him a lot. But if he gets that tremor off into that palm slap, that bitch slap, you know, he can get us some nice ass skills. He can one shot Roger with that. I'm sure Roman can tell you all about it. But yeah, next up we have Big Mom, who is still holding on. Yes, I put Big Mom above Shanks. Yes, I am a Shanks fan. Thank you very much. No need to question my Shanks fan validity, my Shanks fan card validity, you know. I just have to admit that in this meta, being a runner is much more valuable than being a bad attacker. Big Mom's not that good, but she can capture flags fast. Her shock stick can, you know, still be useful. You can shock Roger, and that makes her pretty decent as well. But yeah, she's just a runner, and that gives her more value in the meta than Shanks is. And honestly, she's actually a solid runner. She's not good or anything, but she's a solid runner. And yeah, I know a lot of people hate on her, but you know, like I said, I love Shanks, but Blue Shanks is just worse off than her right now. But yeah, next up we have Vivi and Karu, who again didn't really find their place in the meta. Solid units when they came out with Pell. Pell ended up being the better of the two, but Vivi and Karu had their place as a solid side unit on that banner. But other than that, like, if she's just kind of there, can get away with using her. Not going to influence the game much, but she can be good on maps like Dressrosa, Coliseum, Arlong Park B, all those type of unit maps you can fly across. Sabaody, even though Sabaody isn't in the current map rotation. Hey, if you want to play her, you can definitely get some value out of her. Next we have Oni Luffy, and Oni Luffy had the saddest fall-offs, one of the saddest fall-offs in my opinion, because he was he was a problem when he came out. You know, took buffs away, shredded Roger, and he was pretty much what we needed when he came out, along with Kid and Law to help, you know, stop Roger a little bit. But with the release of Shanks, he was already falling off slowly, but Shanks heals from stuns, and Oni Luffy's skill 2 is all about stuns, and yeah, that just makes an entire skill of his invalid, and kind of sucks for him at this point. Like, he's become Shanks' medic essentially. But yeah, next up we have Luffy, another Luffy who he's not really effective against Shanks, but his anti-heal can be effective against anyone, as long as Shanks isn't in his red hair state, of course, as well. But yeah, Luffy is very much usable, as much as a blue unit can be, I would guess. But yeah, so Luffy's gonna stay here. There's really nothing much to say about him. You can definitely drop him lower if you want. In fact, I will do that, but I'd put him below Big Mom because Luffy can't really fight in this meta. I'm so sorry, Luffy, I love you. But yeah, next up we have someone who shockingly moved up because of Shanks, even though Shanks isn't a Devil Fruit user. Blackbeard. I've seen Blackbeard straight up one-shot Shanks with his skill 2. Even though Shanks isn't a Devil Fruit user, his skill 2 still does a lot of damage, and Shanks can just be one-shot. And I've seen it. It's happened to me too. I think Mamba's played him on stream sometimes, and also done some good plays with Blackbeard. So Blackbeard can get away in this meta. You can get away playing Blackbeard. And yeah, so that's a surprise to me, honestly, that the man came back like that. Obviously not, you know, influencing the meta or something, but like very much playable. Next up, we got Kaku, one of the OGs on this channel, bro. If y'all know, a lot of people wouldn't know actually, because Kaku was my first ever showcase unit, along with Sabo. Kaku was the first unit I ever played. I once even thought of re-rolling for Kaku when he came out, even though I had an account with Shanks, Blue Shanks, who back then was insane. I wanted to re-roll for this dude, bro. And yeah, so Kaku is probably never gonna fall off, and that's because Kaku is not built to fight. Everything about Kaku is about capturing a flag. He got buffed, so he got heals on his caps now, so that made him even better. But also everything about him is zoom away. He's skill 2, you're meant to stun and then run, stun and run, dip out of there, zoom around the map, capture flags. And honestly, if y'all fought against like Rob, Fe Rob, you guys may know him, but right now he's in another alliance. But also Green Wave plays Kaku a lot. You guys may not have fought against him, but if you have, you know, Kaku can be very much a menace. He's essentially the best pure runner, in my opinion, along with Kobe. But yeah, you can definitely get away with him, and honestly, pretty well. He can influence the game a lot, bro. And if you don't believe me, just hop on a game of Kaku, play him as a pure runner. When I mean pure runner, only go for captures, just run around, avoid fights. You're gonna find out that you can be quite a bit of a rat with Kaku. Alright, next up we have Izo. Izo is always gonna be a boss battle god, but honestly, in the terms of being an attacker in the league battle, he's kind of fallen off a little bit, and that's not his fault. He does good damage. His skills can shred people, but that's just not enough against Shanks. And yeah, he's still a solid unit you can get away with playing, but kind of just gets washed away in the meta right now. And yeah, but you can play him pretty well and have some good games with him. Alright, next up we have another unit who used to be one of the more annoying units, the one-digit menace herself, and he's Lobby Robin. Robin, he's so good. She was unanimously, essentially everyone knew her as the most boring unit in the game, but that's just because she was so tanky. All you had to do there was stand there, once in a while pop your skills, you know. But Robin, you could actually go to the enemy's base flag, capture it, and just stand there in the entire game, and they wouldn't be able to kill you. Like, people would straight up just ignore her and go around her instead of trying to fight her. That's how stupid tanky she was, bro. And she still is, honestly, but her issue is that she can get knocked back and then just people capture the flag right in front of her face. And yeah, sucks for her. Sucks for her. But you can get away with playing her if you can get over the fact that she's extremely boring. Sorry for giving, but I'm sure you know it too. But yeah, you can get over that. You can definitely get away with playing Annie's Lobby Robin. Solid defender. One of my most feared unit in the olden days. But yeah, next up we have Wedding Sanji, who I still stick by this to this day. Wedding Sanji on Dressrosa Coliseum is the best runner in the game. You can end a game in like 30 seconds with this dude, just flying around. He gets skill cooldown every time he captures a flag, heals up every 2 flags. His skill 2 can also teleport across. His skill 1 teleports, his skill 2, if you find a character, you can teleport across to them too. It's disgusting. Like, he can end a game so fast. Alright, next up we have Kyosho. Has some good cap speed. He's solid. He's pretty fast. Stakes his places in tier 1. You can definitely use him very well. Yeah, next up we have Mr. Mochi Man himself, Katakuri. So, Katakuri's kind of always been, for a while now, he's kind of been in this place where he's just kind of floating around being unused, but also if someone wants to use him, they can do well. Yeah, there's really not much else to say about him, honestly. He's just a decent defender. Next up we have Mihawk, who got a buff because, no, not an actual buff, but he got buffed in the meta because Dofi existed and he could go through Dofi's shield. And that made him more relevant in the meta when Dofi was kind of destroying the meta. But now he's just back to being a regular old solid defender. And yeah, so he's just chill, kind of just chilling there. Doesn't do garbage against Shanks, but it also doesn't. He also doesn't do that well. So you're just kind of in the middle, and that's essentially what tier 1 is. But yeah, next up on the list we have a defender who does surprisingly do pretty damn decent, and sometimes can straight up just murder Shanks. And that's Prime Garp, Captain Destroyer, OG Roger counter, the very first Roger counter, the hero of the Navy himself. Garp is built to counter captains, and if y'all already know, in Roger meta, this was the literally the first bounty fest after Roger came out. We got Garp. You know, some people have been bringing Garp out against Shanks, and solid character. Very solid character against Shanks, honestly. So yeah, try him out. Let me know how he is. You know. Next up, we have Sentomaru, who has been slept on since his release, bro. Sentomaru has never gotten his flowers. Y'all have never given this man the respect he deserves, bro. He's a defense defender, defense-based defender. Charge up your flag, get defense, and he can be pretty tanky as a character, but people have just never noticed him for some reason. Obviously, again, not really influential enough to make S tier, but he's a good defender. Next up, we have Kobe, who is a better version of Kaku, in my opinion. Kaku's still amazing, but Kobe can go invincible, which makes him one of the more usable blue units, despite what people might think. They think he's blue, so it just kind of gets obliterated, which is true. But Kaku can heal his teammates. He can go invincible for a few seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, I forgot. Which makes him solid. You can, you know, capture a flag like that. You can stall a lot. His skill 1 makes him fast. He's a solid pure runner. Next up, we have another pure runner who's just better than both, actually. Orobi. Now, Orobi is still the fastest to this day. The fastest catcher on even level, because Marco has more cast speed above 50%. So yeah, Orobi's is faster overall in general than Marco. And yeah, Orobi's good at pure running. She just runs around, captures flag again. Ultimate pure runner in my opinion. I know I said Kaku was the best with Kobe, but I forgot about this little lady right here. Next up we have Mr. Goku himself, Prospero, and oh my god, I know only Luffy's fall off does not even, I was tripping, bro. Only Luffy's fall off does not even compare to Prospero's fall off. Prospero fell off. Oh my god. Just like a few, like he dropped, and for the next like what, month or two, this dude was murking everything on sight, bro. He was Goku all over the map. He was dropping his fucking candy, man. You just couldn't do anything. You just die. That's it. You get caught in the candy state, you're finished. But now nobody's getting hit by that, and everybody just nullifies him. It sucks for him because he relies so much on the Candyman state. And yeah, like one of the hardest fall offs. But there are some units that you can affect with your Goku, and you know, maybe some decent. It's not a garbage pick, but might want to think twice about picking him. And next up we have someone who's in a similar, well, not really similar, but he's in a predicament himself. Sabo is a unit that's always had the problem of dealing too much damage, and it's crazy that that's actually a problem in the meta. But yeah, he deals too much damage. He heals up Roger, Shanks, just too much. Sad to see. He got a buff and his heals are kind of disgusting, but he can't even flame a lot of people, so yeah, sucks for him. But he is a decent choice still. You can get away with using him. Next up we have Soul King. Brook is in a predicament himself, because once Shanks is in his regular state, not only does Shanks' Soul King form heal Shanks, what would I say? Not only does Brook's Soul King form heal Shanks, but also his freeze doesn't work on him. So essentially Brook just has to avoid Shanks and go for flags, and then you can do some stuff with him. Alright, next up we have Sugar. Now Sugar I'm actually going to put below Brook, but Sugar is just alright. Like, you can turn people into toys, but you can't turn, again, I know a lot of this is pretty much dropping units in ranking because of Shanks, but that's just how the meta is right now, and Sugar cannot affect Shanks at all. And her skill 1 the other one where she sends toys flying forwards is really easy to dodge. And then her normals are just not really cat crazy right now, honestly. They're not really that nice. So yeah, she can defend the flag, but she's not really special. So she's not gonna make S tier. She's gonna stay right here in tier 1. Alright, next up we have Mr. Flowerbait himself, one of the best step-ups ever released. Beast is actually, you can definitely do some stuff with Beast. His counter is nice. If you can get it off consistently, you can do some good damage. As well as if you can get perfect dodge, your crits are gonna be nice as hell, bro. But yeah, Beast is a solid unit, even though he's blue. Honestly, playing, I keep saying this, but play runners like runners, and you can get away with using him. All right, next up we have Mr. Shaft himself, the king of being shafted. Whitebeard. Now, Pinebeard is a character who has had his fair share of embarrassments because he dropped and was instantly mediocre. Got a buff, still mediocre, and now still mediocre, but he can one-shot Shanks because remember, Shanks, you know, doesn't have a 1 HP thing or recovery or revive or whatever. So Whitebeard with a skill, bro, I'm forgetting these unit skills, bro, but his strike skill, the one that you don't charge, whatever is skill 2, I guess, maybe skill 1, whatever, bro, whichever one you don't have, the one he's doing right here, you know, the one he's smacking people in the face with right here, that skill, it can one-shot Shanks, and yeah, so it gives him a tiny little bit of value in the meta. Next up we have Oni Law. Sucks for him because his room heals Shanks, but if Shanks walks into that room, he can do some good damage in his room. Obviously, anti-hero isn't going to do much against him, but his room is kind of saving him because his room does a lot of damage to Shanks. As long as Shanks doesn't, you know, use a brain and walk out of there. But yeah, after all, Shanks can't be staggered. Oh my god, Shanks is so broken. Anyways, next up we have Miss Golden Week, a unit that once upon a time had an argument for best runner in the game, even over Odin and Yamato, simply because her calm state and invincibility were kind of disgusting. But now you can't inflict calm on a lot of characters, but her invincibility is still universal, bro. You can use it whenever you want. Put warlords on it and you can pretty much guarantee a flag. So yeah, she's a solid runner. One of the most annoying and scary characters to see on a flag in the last 15 seconds. But yeah, next up we have Soba, I'm just gonna put both, but Film Red Nami and Silver Mask. These units, in my opinion, are essentially equal. Just depends on which you value more. Silver Mask can go invisible more often because he gets cooldown every time he captures a flag. I don't believe Film Red Nami has that. But yeah, and also Silver Mask has that shield which can tank a commissary, can tank a Shanks skill 2, can tank a Shanks skill 1, can tank any one-hit skill in the game. Can't tank multi-hit skills like Dofi's Parasite, Kaido's Borrow Breath. But yeah, he can do that tanking. And then you have Nami, who is more offensive with her Lightning Strike. So, you know, depends on which one you value more. But these two are equal in my eyes, essentially. Next up, we have Frankie Boxing, bro. Frenosuke. Frenosuke is kind of do or die. He can one shot, but he's gonna get one shot. He's gonna get his ass beat too. But you can do some good stuff with Frenosuke. Honestly, I'm just gonna toss him below here because I don't think he should be that high. But yeah, so that's Frenosuke. Next up, we have Madame Stampede Boa. Boa is just fuck, man, with her enchants and like, I don't know. They made Stampede Boa a little less you know, reliant on it. She gets a buff if someone nullifies enchants, but still she kind of just falling off. She's a blue unit too, which kind of reduces her value in the meta just automatically. But she's extremely fast, and she can get you some flags, so that makes her pretty valuable as a runner. So yeah, next up we have Tesoro. Again, stuck in the downfall of the status effect units. Tesoro relies on his gold state, but when he uses his skill, the skill 1 where he charges the shield, or his skill 2, bro, don't judge me. Whichever one where he charges his shield up, it can reflect that damage right back, and you might just see yourself a one shot, you know. But yeah, he's a solid unit. Solid unit despite being blue. But yeah, so Stro's gonna stay there. Continuing the trend of blue units, we got Beckman. Y'all seen me in my streams, you know I've been defending Beckman with my life, but he's just sadly not that much it. He's very tanky against normal attacks, but he only has 30% damage reduction against everything else. And yes, his skill 1 can stop people from attacking, but Shanks really doesn't care about that. So yeah, he's decent. His snipe is very clutch and feels so satisfying when you hit someone off it from fucking Narnia. But yeah, other than that, he doesn't provide a lot of value to the team. And yeah, he's just gonna chill here in the middle of tier 1. Next up, we have a character who has been underrated since his release, and yes, I am a bit biased against him since he is the rival of my GOAT, but Queen is a good defender. I know some of y'all don't want to hear it, okay? Some of y'all don't want to hear it. Roman preaches it all the time. Queen is a good defender. Queen is a solid defender, okay? Queen can, I keep saying Queen, bro. This dude, fat here, man, dude, whatever. He can nullify status effects. His Brachial Bomber can hold down a flag for a good minute. Goes invincible, you can't touch him. That flag is pretty much untouchable for as long as he's in that state. He can passively heal up. He's an overall solid defender. Like, he's not gonna go crazy or anything, but he's a unit you can rely on to guard a flag. So yeah, I'm giving him my props. I'm giving him his flowers, you know, Roman. So you can't ever say I'm a Queen hater ever again. I gave this man his props. He's solid. There we go. King is gonna be better regardless, but you know, just don't worry about that right now, you know. Anyways, we have Mr. Tanky Frankie, one of my favorite defenders ever. They're one of the only defenders, along with Magellan, that I went for #1 with and got #1. But yeah, Frankie is a solid defender still. One of the OG Akainu counters that nobody really realized was an Akainu counter. The man who perfected the 80% status effect reduction after Kawamatsu, and just overall solid, good defender. Obviously Shanks mercs, but he's good against everyone else, honestly. Even Roger, but put zone on him, yeah, you're good to go. All right, next up we have sorry you've been cut, Mr. Shiryu. Y'all seen it? If y'all haven't seen my Shiryu gameplay of the #1 Shiryu player, my alliance mate, Shiryu can do some good stuff, bro. Especially if someone's on a flag, you can straight up get some one shots going. Unfortunately, like, he's just not that good against a lot of well, by a lot of characters, I mean Shanks, and that is a lot of characters because you're gonna have 2 or 3 Shankses per game. But yeah, Shiryu's a solid attacker, honestly. Again, got slept on when he dropped. But yeah, he's good. Like, he's good. Next up we have Judge, another character who got slept on. Continuing the trend, I guess. Judge is solid. I actually didn't, even I slept on him until I saw Roman's video where he did some Judge gameplay, and Judge was kind of snapping, especially with Reiju. Reiju's very bad, bro. Reiju bad is, I mean, Judge is a great character, and Reiju's a good skill. Yes, let's continue. Next we have Gadusop. Gadusop is kind of just chilling there. Like, he's solid. Unfortunately, his skill 2 is useless against Shanks, but his skill 1 can still do some good damage, bro. Like, never forget, he's the OG green counter, not even just an Roger counter. He's the OG green counter. Like, he's built to counter green, so he's solid in the meta. His normals can be annoying as hell, and if you play him like a rat, you know, Shanks can still chase you down with his skill 1 and like murder you, but you know, play him like a rat, he can do some good shit, bro. Next up we have Jacqueline, Jacker, what the hell? Anyways, Jack, solid attacker, used to be one of the best attackers in the game for a good little bit when he dropped. But honestly, I don't even know what's wrong with him. I think he's just Shanks food. Like, he's a sitting duck in his mammoth form. Shanks eats him up for dinner. If he can get his skill 1 off, I think that's the one where he throws his scythes. Again, please don't judge me. I do not even own Jack. I don't remember his skill, which one is which. But his scythe skill, when he throws out skills, he can do some good damage too, but it doesn't stagger Shanks. So yeah, but he's a good attacker. He's definitely a good attacker. Next up we have Kaido, who I am actually going to put below Jack. Do I do that? I think I'm gonna put him below Jack, honestly. Kaido is the definition of Shanks food. Like, some Kaidos just straight up use their skill 2 just to run away from Shanks. Just to go invincible against Shanks. But where's the skill? Or is the skill 1? Bro, he uses his shoot skill, the one where he shoots his balls against on the treasures, bro. Yeah, just to run away against Shanks, because Kaido can't do anything against Shanks, and it's sad. But yeah, he's chilling in tier 1, and definitely could go up. Next up, we have Jozu, who is one of the most boring units in the game, but also one of the tankiest. In his diamond form, again, Shanks doesn't really care about damage reduction, but against anyone else, he's solid. And honestly, a pretty damn tanky defender. Definitely one of the better defenders in the game, even though he's blue. Next up, we have Prime Rayleigh, who got shafted hard because his perfect dodge doesn't care. Shanks doesn't care about it. He can't aim his teleport as Shanks. His skill 2, yeah, that's right. I know which skill it is this time because I actually have him. His skill 2 with the stuns, heals Shanks. This man got shafted so hard, bro. I feel bad for him, but yeah, he had his time, and now he's trailing in tier 1. Next up, we have Mr. Film Red Usopp, the quote-unquote Shanks counter, but sadly, he's just decent, bro. Unfortunately, the man has no heals. Yeah, I mean, you can get away with using him, especially since he's built to handle Shanks, you know. Obviously, he's not the best at handling him, which we will talk about who is when we get to the person, but yeah, he's just gonna chill near the top of tier 1. Next up, we have Page 1, who has gone under the radar, as a lot of unit defenders go, but Page 1 is a pretty good defender. Honestly, just a really reliable defender, and that makes him so good in your games because you don't have a lot of reliable defenders, but Page 1 can guard a fight, and yeah, that makes him one of the better ones. Next up, we have Nami. Nami can tank a lot against a lot of attackers, and that includes Roger. Maybe not Shanks as much, because if you get that skill 2 off, Shanks doesn't care about your damage reduction, bro, with his skill 1. But yeah, so Nami's there. You can argue her below Page 1 or not. But yeah, she's chilling there, good against attackers. Next up, we have young Dofi, who has fallen off a lot. If you know Dofi, he was... Oh, that shield is disgusting, and it still is. You can kill a Shanks if you fight him off team boost, and if he's not like super stacked, because then you can shred him down. Obviously, your normals don't stagger, but you can still just kind of go in between, back and forth your shield, and just chip him down. Obviously, if you're going up against a smart Shanks, he'll just leave until your shield is done. But you know, most Shankses are stupid. But yeah, next up, ending off tier 1 is Shiki. Shiki is quite good. Pretty mobile unit, good runner, run around, capture flags. Nothing much else to say about him. He's a solid, good runner. He's a red too, so that makes him a little more viable, as well as he does more damage to Roger pirates. So yeah. Alright, moving on to S tier. These are the meta units, the super meta units. These are the units that most people are going to be playing to win games. So let's start off with the worst unit in S tier. That's going to be Madame Ulti. And Ulti is quite good against attackers, except I had a complete mental breakdown trying to record gameplay from her and almost quit the game because Shanks is a dickhead. And yeah, other than that, Ulti is quite good against attackers. Her skill 2 shreds a kind of magma state. She can one-shot Shanks after she uses her skill 1 shreds a kind of magma state. Ulti Mortar, if she can get her skill 2 off on Shanks, reduces his defense. She can do a lot of damage to him, can even win 1v1s with him sometimes, but also Shanks can just watch my video about what it feels like playing a blue unit in Shanks meta, and you see all of that was a result of trying to record Ulti gameplay against teams of 2 to 3 Shankses. But yeah, next up, second worst, similar dilemma, Shanks. Ace Luffy fell off hard. Used to be one of the most disgusting characters, the most disgusting character, actually, the best unit in the game. But he has fallen off, unfortunately, because Shanks, his bounce man state heals Shanks unless you release it immediately, which a lot of people don't seem to realize you should be doing, so they just heal him. But honestly, EXP, you can get away with playing him, and just stick to Snake Man. Batsman, you know, still shreds anyone who isn't named Shanks, and can also one-shot Shanks if you release it early. I've seen it happen to me before. But he's just going to be chilling in S tier, with the potential to move to Z tier, depending on what the meta is looking like going forward. Next up, we have Diamante. He seems like a solid, much better Shanks counter than Usopp is, because his Shanks state removal, or red hair state removal, is on his normal attacks, not his not a skill. So you can reliably get this off even if you miss your normals. You have infinite chances until you die, of course. Then it's not infinite, but you have as many chances as you need to get that normal attack off. Just hold your normal, and you know, remove his state, and then you're chilling. Surprisingly, the better unit, in my opinion, is Treble. Treble's 60% dodge chance in Ultra Instinct shit is actually very good. You can essentially just chill there sometimes, leave it to RNG, and just tank a bunch of attacks in a row, and it's kind of disgusting. As long as you're above 50% HP, of course. And yeah, Treble is actually really good. I really like him. He can take Mark off a flag with his skill 1. I think his normals also take him off the flag. So yeah, he's just overall a really good defender. Next up, we have Marco. So Marco is one of the most annoying defenders in the game because of what I mentioned before about Treble being good against him. The reason Treble is, I mentioned Treble being good against him is because Marco, you can't take him off a flag unless you kill him. So Treble being able to take him off makes him much more valuable, because Marco is very much used in this meta right now. And yeah, being able to take him off the flag makes Treble much better. But we're talking about Marco right now. Marco is a really good runner. Anyone who can't kill him is just fucked, bro, because you have to wail on him, and he has 100% cap speed when the flag is above 50%. So he's gonna zoom that flag down, and then obviously he loses that once it's below, but still, like, you have to kill him to kick him off the flag. And if you're facing a Marco who's running defense, which is a very viable set on him, it's gonna be a rough time for you. So Marco is definitely an S tier unit for me. Next up, we have Useless Kid, who has lasted so long and is shot back to the top of that meta because he's so effective against Shanks. And yeah, he just kind of chills there, tanks Shanks a little, shreds him down with his junk circle, and honestly just great, good ass defender, bro. Kid is so good right now. Next up, we have the hidden EX, hidden Shanks counter, Uta. Uta is the best Shanks counter. Y'all do not know this. Y'all have not noticed Uta, bro. Uta can one-shot Shanks straight up, bro. Y'all did not see her. Y'all didn't see the hidden gem, bro. She was hidden in plain sight. Y'all did not see Uta. And she's coming back soon, so if you want to get her, she's actually extremely good against Shanks, with she can one-shot him and anyone else once she catches them in her Sing Sing state. Oh my god, just give it up, bro. Give up. Alright, next up we have Odin, who is an amazingly aged runner. He's just amazing. There's really not much to say about him. Great runner, really good against defenders, and really zooming around the map. Annoying to deal with. One of the best runners, only surpassed by himself, Odin 2 or Yamato. You know, Yamato is just a better version of Odin in my opinion. Red, so much more effective against Shanks. And overall, I think she's just a better, improved version of Odin. So, yeah. Next up, we have Z tier. So, like I said, Z tier are the units that, you know, you kind of play around. The best of the best units. And like I said, some units in S tier have an argument for Z tier. So, just keep that in mind. Yamato can definitely get an argument for Z tier. But, starting off with, in my opinion, the worst Z tier unit, who's still one of the best units in the game regardless, Akainu. Now, Akainu is getting counter after counter after counter after counter. They have dropped so many units that counter this man, and yet he still refuses to leave the meta. He's just an absolute beast. And yeah, he's chilling here. Absolutely no issues in the meta right now. In fact, against Shanks, he's thriving. Yeah, very good unit. Amazingly aged. Don't think he's ever gonna leave anytime soon. So yeah. Alright, in the Z tier, we have Z himself, Mr. ZZ. Very good against Shanks. He can take away his attack buff, and overall, he's just super annoying with that smash buster. Bro, it just feels like he has infinite skills sometimes, because you hit him, he gets that shit back. He's an amazing defender. He's good against Shanks, and I think Zephyr's value to the game is overall more than Akainu, who can kill Shanks, but Z can defend against Shanks as well as just defend multiple flags at the same time and hold off multiple people. Sometimes Z can feel unkillable. Next up, we have Roger, King of the Pirates, but not King of OPBR. Roger takes second place. If we're talking about well aged, it's about to be 2 years old, and dude, he's filthy, bro. He's still filthy, bro. He's almost on par with Shanks as one of the most filthy characters in the game. Commissary is. If they make his skill faster than Commissary, I will cry. I will cry. I will cry. You could argue that Shanks' skill 1 is faster, but Commissary is just so instant. At least with Shanks, you can see him like crouch down to do the jump. But Commissary is so annoying. Roger's traits are just ageless. Everything about him is just broken. So, unfortunately for Roger, there is a character who's just more broken, and that's Mr. Strongest Yonko, Mr. Sexiest Yonko, Mr. Most cool looking, red haired, best. Did I say strongest, sexiest, best, cool looking? Did I say that? I think I mentioned that, right? Shanks. And Shanks is the best unit in the game. I think most people just call Shanks the best unit in the game because he is. I think most people acknowledge Shanks as the best unit in the game. And yeah, he just. Everything about him is disgusting, bro. His skill 2, you can't hit him in. Once he uses the skill 2, he's in his red hair state. Red hair state, he's immune to all status effects. Can't be staggered. Even outside of his red hair state, his skill 1 is almost instant. But in his red hair state, his skill 1 is way longer range. First class flights, like I like to say, across the entire map. Ignores damage reduction. Bro, man. The only thing saving us from we're in a already disgusting meta, but the only thing saving us from completely quitting the game is the fact that Shanks can be one shot. And yeah, that makes some units much more viable since you can get away with one shot. You can one shot him since he doesn't have those revive traits. And yeah, they are dropping counters like Diamante and Usopp to try their best, I guess, to counter him. And yeah, obviously it's not really working that well. But yeah, Shanks will fall off about as much as Roger did, which is not much at all. But I'm expecting around when the next Annie comes, we'll see a unit more broken than Shanks, and that's not going to be healthy for the game. But oh, I forgot to rank Bullet. Bullet's just going to chill here at the bottom of tier 1. Good against Roger Pirates. I'm just going to put him up here, honestly, right here. But yeah, Bullet's just going to chill there. Nothing crazy. Good against Roger Pirates, but you got a buff too. But honestly, nothing crazy, like I said. But yeah, that's going to be the meta tier list of OPBR. Don't worry, Monet is ranked 2 times because I accidentally put 2 Monets in the files. But, wait, I can't take it, whatever. Yeah, that's going to be the OPBR meta tier list. In my opinion, like I said, make sure to check over the criteria again so you guys can understand how I rank these units. And yeah, I'll go over it again, actually. So Z tier are the units the meta revolves around. Everyone below them kind of plays around these units. The meta's kind of played around these 4 units right here. S tier is the top of the meta. These units are some of the best, and they're not as game breaking as these units, the Z tier units, but they're more than capable of dominating a game, and some even have arguments for Z tier, like Yamato. Tier 1 are flawed units, which they're good, but they have their downfalls, which makes them inconsistent. Some of them more inconsistent than others, like the lower part of tier 1. But for the most part, they're solid units, and you can use them and do well with them depending on how you play. Tier 2 are niche units that are playable, but you're gonna have a lot of trouble getting good, or even sometimes getting any results with them. And some of these units rely on the meta, and they could rise depending on the state of the meta. But honestly, I don't see anyone in tier 2 who kind of meets that criteria, so we should probably put that criteria for tier 1. Because tier 1 units, like Shiki, could go to S tier depending on the meta, maybe. Dofi definitely has an argument for S tier if we get out of this green meta, this disgusting Shanks meta where Shanks murders the shield. But yeah, that's the criteria, and let me know what you guys think about this tier list. This is probably gonna be a premiere, so you guys are probably gonna be giving me your thoughts while watching. So yeah, I'm probably in there with you right now. I'm gonna look extra stupid if I don't premiere this, and but yeah, so that's gonna be it. Super long video, of course. It's a tier list. These are always gonna be long, but yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Like I said, let me know what you guys think, and yeah, peace out.
Yeah, turn me up. I was a bed with all the things I wish I would've said. Just running through my head, I need a suit of it. I need to do again, I mean to do over. I drink too much and then it look like two of us swimming in the pool of sin.